What's going on, guys? I hope everyone's having a good day so far. The goal of this video is just to quickly go over how we can maximize our curls to make sure we're properly stimulating our biceps and other elbow flexor muscles and getting the most benefit out of our exercises. I realize that there are there's different ways you can place slightly different emphasis on elbow flexing muscles. However, this video is just a general overview of the general concept of curling movements in general. What I'm doing here is not just moving my elbow around for the camera, as much fun as this looks like. This right here, elbow flexion, is the goal of a curl. This is our outcome and this is what we're after. Primarily, we want our shoulder, we want our back, and everything else to remain in place, to remain stationary, and we just want to focus on just moving at the elbow joint. If our goal is to increase the size of a particular muscle, it doesn't necessarily matter what we have on paper, but what exists in the real world. And that's kind of why I just wanted to make a quick video showing curls, because we might have something programmed like this, but if we're doing the exercise in a way that's targeting and using different muscles, even if this exercise is intended to train our biceps, train our elbow flexor muscles, if we're not actually using those muscles in the real world, then regardless of what's on paper, regardless of the exercise, then we're not going to get the stimulus and the growth that we're looking for. So it's pretty self-explanatory. The goal of a curl is very, very simple. It is flexing the elbow. So we're not too concerned with what's happened at the shoulder, what's happened at the back. Again, those are just trying to stay stationary. We're really just trying to focus all of our efforts on closing that elbow joint. So that's kind of where, we want to look at our focus at and make sure that that joint is moving. A couple different things that can happen that we want to avoid is movement can occur at our shoulder instead of our elbow, and it looks as if we're doing a curl. However, it's involving a lot more of our front delt. You'll kind of see the elbow travel upwards quite a bit, and if you're not really paying attention, we can get confused, and because we start the exercise in the same position and finish the exercise in the same position, it looks like we're doing the exercise correctly. However, if we really look at the elbow joint, we can see that there's not a lot of movement going on there, and most of the movement's actually going through our shoulder, and not a lot's happening at the biceps besides maybe an isometric contraction. And then another common one, which I'm sure a lot of you guys see, is the back. We get some flexion and extension of our spine, get moving back and forth, get the momentum going to get the weight up. Again, it looks, if we're not careful, it can look like we're doing the exercise correctly. We can see that, again, we're getting the weight from point A to point B, but how we're getting it there is using momentum, it's using our back, it's really using our whole body, and again, our shoulders to get the weight there. So really just the best way for us to look at a curl to make sure we're maximizing it is looking at our elbow joint and making sure that that angle is changing, making sure that it's decreasing and then increasing throughout a full range of motion. Now, I'm not saying that we have to be super strict and can't move our elbow at all. It's okay if our elbow comes up maybe in half an inch to an inch at the top of the movement and back down, because what can happen is if we try to be too strict, then we end up having to lighten the weight substantially because we're so focused on perfect form that we end up using way lighter weights than we could have. So the general goal is just to perform the exercise where it's with good form, good technique, and majority of the tension, as much as possible, is on our elbow flexors without being super paranoid about good form and decreasing the weight a ton, just so we can make sure that nothing else moves and that everything stays in place. Again, a little movement's okay. If your elbow comes up a little bit at the top, like I said, up to an inch, that's no big deal, because you're still getting a lot of stimulus on your elbow flexor muscles.